The greatest of all time is always discussed in every major sport. In basketball, it is the topic of discussion as most people have different opinions on their top 10 and their rankings as well. In this new series, I'm going to discuss everyone that is usually in the GOAT discussion and unveiling their case for the greatest of all time. I will reveal my rankings for each player and who is in my top 10 and my GOAT. In this video, we'll be looking at the career of Shaquille O'Neal and unlocking his case for the greatest of all time.
And I gotta worry about trade talk. I'm the MVP. I'm the MVP of this league. The best basketball players in the world. I was honored with the MVP. The MVP, the best basketball player in the world. And when I lose, this is what I gotta go through.
You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
Okay.
Fellas, we work all year long for it, man. Shaq the man, most dominant player in the world. Championship, it's ours. Love it, it's beautiful. Mwah, 2G, baby, you love it. We out.
Shaq went to LSU and was studying business, while also being one of the most dominant college players of all time. He left LSU early to pursue his NBA career, but he was still doing his studies and was still graduating from college as well. Anyways, he went to the NBA draft as the contentious #1 overall pick, as his size and his dominance was just too much to pass up on, and indeed, the Orlando Magic picked up Shaq. Shaq immediately made an impact on his Magic team that needed direction. They knew that drafting Shaq would cause a turn in the franchise, and it did indeed. The Diesel was named an All-Star in his rookie year, and also won Rookie of the Year. Shaq this year averaged 23.4 points, 13.9 rebounds, 3.5 blocks on 56% from the field. The big Aristotle's way of getting up the floor at his size and his defensive abilities showed promise, and his team barely missed the playoffs but went into next year with optimism. The next year, Shaq was really investing in his young guard named Anthony Penny Hardaway. He tried to convince the Magic to draft him, but they instead drafted Chris Webber, which was seen as the better pick but wasn't the best fit. The Orlando Magic then traded Webber for Penny, and now Shaq had a teammate to run this team with. The Magic was quietly building a team around Shaq and have him as the cornerstone of his team. Superman still began to improve as he was again All-Star, made his first All-NBA selection, led the league in field goal percentage, and led the Magic team to their first playoff berth in franchise history. The Diesel this year averaged 29.3 points, 13.2 rebounds, 2.9 blocks, and 60% from the field. They win the first round against the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers was being led by sharpshooter and leader Reggie Miller. In game 1, Shaq had 24 points, 19 rebounds, and 4 blocks. But his duo in his rookie year didn't perform at the par, and they lost his game. In game 2, Reggie dropped 30-plus point game, and Shaq underperformed as the Pacers won his game to be up 2 on this series. In game 3, Reggie dropped 30-plus points again, as the Magic didn't play good basketball and the Pacers swept the Magic. Even though they got swept, the Magic showed promise, as the series was close in every single game, and they just couldn't close it out. The next year, the Magic improved their roster, as they got Horace Grant and more bench pieces, and it was on Shaq and Penny leading this team to the promised land, and indeed, they played like it. Penny and Shaq became one of the best duos in the league, as Shaq finished second MVP voting behind David Robinson this year, and somehow improved again this year. Penny and Shaq were both named All-Stars, and the Magic again was in the playoffs and won a redemption from last year. The Diesel led the NBA in scoring and averaged 29.3 points, 11.4 rebounds, 2.4 blocks on 58% from the field. They went on to play the Celtics in the first round. The Celtics was being led by Dominique Wilkins and D. Brown. In game 1, the Magic blew this team out as Shaq had 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks, but his whole team played good as well, and now they was up 1 on this series. In game 2, Shaq dropped 22 and Penny dropped 26 as the duo played good, but the team underperformed as the Celtics tied this series up 1-1. In game 3, Shaq had a 20-20 game and led this Magic team to win this game to be up 2-1. In game 4, the Magic closed this game out but barely edged it out as Shaq dropped 25 points and 13 rebounds, and they won this series and went into the second round. In the next one, they put the Chicago Bulls. This year, Jordan just returned from playing baseball as he felt he wasn't done his basketball career. The Magic had to face a team that many people thought would destroy them. In game 1, Shaq dropped 26 and 12 as MJ underperformed as the Magic won this game to be up 1-0. In Game 2, Shaq dropped 25 and 12, but MJ came to play as he dropped 38 points and they won this game to tie this series up 1-1. In Game 3, Shaq dropped 28 and 10 and led this Magic team to win this game to be up 2-1. In Game 4, Shaq almost dropped triple-double, but he underperformed in the scoring department, and in turn the Bulls won this game to tie this series up 2-2. In Game 5, a very pivotal game in the series, MJ dropped 39, but it wasn't enough as Shaq dropped 23 points and 22 rebounds and let this team be up 3-2 in the series. In games to close out a game, Shaq dropped 27 to 13, and that propelled him to win this series. This shocked many fans as MJ lost his comeback year as he didn't play bad, but he didn't play like himself. This young Orlando Magic team, who was in their third year having Shaq, are now in the Eastern Conference Finals and are pushing to the NBA Finals. In the next round, they played a rematch against the Indiana Pacers. In Game 1, Shaq dropped 32 and 11, and in a close game, they won this battle to be up 1 on this series. In Game 2, Reggie dropped 37, but even with his effort, it wasn't enough as Shaq also dropped 39 and 10 rebounds as him and his Penny dominated this game to be up 2 in this series. In Game 3, Shaq underperformed as he only had 18 points, but Penny stepped up, but it wasn't enough as the Pacers capitalized on the underperformance as the Pacers wanted to be in the series 2-1. In Game 4, in a close game, Shaq again underperformed as he only had 18 points, and in a loss by only 1 point, the Pacers tied this series up 2-2. In Game 5, and again another close game, the Diesel came to play as he dropped 35 points and 13 rebounds and led this Magic team in a pivotal game to be up 3-2 in the series. In Game 6, Shaq dropped 26 and 6, but it wasn't enough as Reggie had another 30-plus point game and led this team to tie the series up 3-3. In Game 7, a very pivotal game, Shaq dropped 25 and 11 as the Magic dropped these Pacers off and were the Eastern Conference champions. Shaq, is only his third year, is on the way to the NBA Finals as a young duo of Penny and Shaq was showing that it was here to stay. In the NBA Finals, they went against the Houston Rockets. This Rockets team was being led by Hakeem Olajuwon, who at the time was considered to be the best in the league. Clyde Drexler was also on his team as he was traded to his team and was solidifying his career to get himself the NBA championship as MJ kept stopping his chances. Shaq went to this series and was ready to make a stance as he can now show that he is the best in the league by beating Hakeem. In Game 1, Shaq almost dropped a triple-double as he had 26, 16, and 9, but it wasn't enough as Hakeem had 31 and 4 blocks and led this team to be up 1-0. In Game 2, Shaq and Penny dynamic was in full display as they both had 30-plus point games respectively, but even that wasn't enough as the Magic bench underperformed, and on the other side of the court, Hakeem again had a great game, and Sam Cassell off the bench had an excellent game to be up 2 in the series. In Game 3, Shaq again almost had a triple-double as he had 28, 10, and 6, but again in the close game, they couldn't seal it, and it was now down 3-0 in the series. In Game 4, Shaq and Penny would drop 25 points plus 25 points each, but the Rockets didn't allow this game to be close as they closed this series out to sweep and win 4-0. Something I didn't mention till now is the play of the Magic's bench unit. In Game 1, in a very close game, Nick Anderson had a chance to make 4 free throws and only needed 1 to seal the game. He missed all 4 of them, and that in turn caused the chemistry on this team to fall off, and there the team crumbled apart. If I can play the clip, I'll play the clip of Nick explaining the shot himself. The Rockets went 47 and 35 that year, and many thought they would make it back. They also beat this Magic team, and Rudy Tomjanovich in a very iconic speech says this: Shaq got a taste of the NBA Finals and wanted to come back there. The next year, Shaq was dealing with injuries, as he only played in 58 games this season. Despite this setback, he was still named to an All-NBA team, and was still an All-Star, and his team was still great, as they got the second seed with a record of 60 and 22. Now you're wondering, how did he only get a second seed with that amazing record? Yeah, we'll get to that later. Anyways, this year the Diesel averaged 26.6 points, 11 rebounds, 2.1 blocks on 57% from the field. In the first round, they played the Detroit Pistons, who were past the bad boy days, as they'll be led by Joe Dumars and Grant Hill. I'm never going to waste my time going game by game, as the Magic destroyed this team and swept them, as the games wasn't even close and they went to the next round. In the next round, they played the Atlanta Hawks, where they again destroyed this team. The Hawks won a game, but the rest of the games wasn't even close, as the Magic made a return to the Eastern Conference Finals. Mama, there go that man. Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls was again the obstacle in the way for the Orlando Magic. Jordan and his Bulls went 72-10 this season and set the record for the best regular season wins in NBA history, which would stand until the 2015-2016 where the Golden State Warriors would break the record. Jordan was looking to get revenge. As you know, he keeps tabs on his team. The Magic were looking to go back to the NBA Finals and win this time, so you know it would be a good matchup. In Game 1, it seemed like the one time was just as superior as the Bulls blocked this team 121-83. Shaq had 27, 66 as Penny dropped 38, but the bench unit didn't look as good and it was now down 1-0. In game 2, Shaq dropped 36 and 14, but Jordan also had a good game as he dropped 35 and led his Bulls team to win this game 2-0. In game 3, the Bulls again blew out his Magic team as the score was 86-67 and Shaq underperformed his game and they will lose this game to be on 3-0. In game 4, Jordan showed up and showed out as he dropped 45 points, and Penny and Shaq both dropped 28, but it wasn't enough as the Bulls continued their dominant run this season as the Magic failed to go back to the promised land. After the 1995-96 season, Shaq was indeed a free agent. He was thinking about a change in scenery as he and the coach had conflicting opinions about the team. Shaq didn't like playing for him as he felt like LA would give him more opportunities. In a shocking signing, the Big Aristotle signed to the Los Angeles Lakers for a 7 years, $120 million contract as he went into the 96-97 season, indeed a Laker. Also this season, they drafted Kobe Bean Bryant in a drafting trade as Jerry West saw potential in his young guard. I wonder who was on his team. Shaq maintained his level of dominance as this season he averaged 26.2 points, 12.5 rebounds, 2.9 blocks on 55% from the field. In the first round, Lakers played the Trailblazers, who wasn't going to contain Shaq, and they didn't. As the game 1, Shaq dropped 43 points as the Lakers dominated the Blazers to be up in the series 1-0. In game 2, Shaq dropped 30 again as he dominated and won this game to be up 2-0. In game 3, Shaq dropped 29, but the Blazers were fighting him as Kenny Anderson dropped 30 points, and the Blazers won this game and had this series 2-1. In game 4, Shaq took all the hope away as him and Eldon Campbell dropped 27 and won this series and won on to the next round. In round 2, they played the Utah Jazz, who would still have overrated point guard, John Stockton, and Karl Malone. In game 1, Shaq underperformed as he only had 17 points, and that in turn caused him to lose the game badly and be down 1-0 this series. In game 2, Shaq had 25 and 12, as in a close game, it was a close game, but unfortunately Karl Malone showed out, let his team be up 2-0. In game 3, Shaq played horrible as he only had 11 points, and he also only played 17 minutes, but the team stepped up and they won this game in a blow and had this series 2-1. In game 4, Shaq had 34 and 11, but Karl also wants to play tonight as he dropped 41 and let his team be up 3-1. In game 5, Shaq was having foul trouble, and that in turn caused him to foul out in a close game. With Byron Scott injured as well, Kobe was required to step up, and he did. He shot 4 air balls in a row, and the Jazz closed out this series. Even though what Kobe did was embarrassing, and gained the respect of the big fella, as he saw his confidence, and he saw confidence all over that young fella. The next season, Shaq still dominated the league. He was again an all-star, but he only played 60 games as Shaq had minor injuries he deals with, but he still plays most games. Kobe was still improving, and he was named an all-star thanks to fan voting as he was one of the highest bench contributors this season. Shaq this season averaged 28.3 points, 11.4 rebounds, 2.4 blocks on 58% from the field. The Lakers again made the playoffs as Shaq wanted redemption. In the first round, they played the Blazers again, and again Shaq dominated. Even though he did underperform in game 2, they won this series 4-1 and going in the next round. In the second round, they put the Seattle Supersonics, who were being led by Gary Payton, as Sean Kidd wasn't on the team anymore. Shaq again dominated as they won 4-1, and again Shaq dominated and made the center like barbecue chicken, and led this team to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in his Lakers career. In the Western Conference Finals, they played the Utah Jazz again, who was coming off a loss in the NBA Finals last year to Chicago Bulls and were looking for redemption. Also, Shaq was looking for revenge as they got the gentleman's sweep last year. In game 1, Shaq underperformed as he only had 19 points, and the Jazz dominated the Lakers to win this game and be up 1-0. In game 2, Shaq dropped 31 and 7, but the offensive overpowered Utah Jazz team beat the Lakers in their close game and be up 2-0 in this series. In game 3, Shaq had 39 and 15, but his team didn't perform as the Jazz, even with them not playing up the party, still won this game and be up 3-0. In game 4, Shaq dropped 38 and 7, but again his team didn't perform in clutch time, and they lost this series and got swept, and again didn't make it far in the Western Conference. The next season was a shortened season, as the Lakers had a record of 31 and 19. Kobe was beginning to break out as he signed a new contract, and he also started for all 50 games. Dale Harris was fired, and Kurt Rambis became the new head coach. Also, Glenn Rice added to his team as Shaq wanted more shooting. They went to the playoffs expecting a deep run. In the first round, they played the Houston Rockets, who was trying to build a super team to compete. They picked up Charles Barkley and Scottie. Since the last time they played Shaq and wanted to make it back to the NBA Finals. In game 1, a close game, Shaq dropped 27-11, and his new shooting partner, Glenn Rice, dropped 29, and Kobe 27, as they won this close game to be up 1-0. In Game 2, Shaq dropped 28-9 as the Lakers demonstrate their dominance to win this game and be up in the series 2-0. In Game 3, Shaq dropped 26-10, but Charles Barkley and Scottie had themselves a night and led this team to win this game and have this series 2-1. In Game 4, Shaq dropped 37-11 and led this team to win this series and knock off this Rockets team and move on to the next round. In the second round, the San Antonio Spurs being led by young Tim Duncan, who was trying to lead this team to the promised land in his early seasons. And Tim absolutely destroyed them as Shaq underperformed. Tim Duncan was able to contain the Diesel and didn't let him to dominate like he usually does. And again, the Lakers once again lost. Phil Jackson was hired in the 1999-2000 season, and he told Shaq that under him, he would win MVP and many championships under him in his system. Shaq believed him and went all into his triangle offense, and he was right, as Shaq went on to have one of the most dominant seasons of all time. Shaq this year was named an All-Star, won MVP, was named to All-NBA First Team and All-NBA Defensive Second Team. Shaq this season averaged 29.7 points, 13.6 rebounds, 3 blocks on 57% from the field. Shaq was again dominating the league and no one could stop him, as in Jackson held his promise of him winning in-season awards, but he won that Larry Trophy and they went to season, won that title. In the first round, they played the Sacramento Kings, who've been led by Divock, Weber, and Mike Bibby. They will be a formidable opponent for this team later on. Anyways, in Game 1, Shaq had 46-17 as he dominated this Kings team and won this game to be up 1-0. In Game 2, Shaq had 23-19 and it was Kobe who had 32 and torched his team as the Lakers won this game to be up 2-0. In Game 3, Shaq had 20-17 and Kobe had 35, but it wasn't enough as the Kings began to fight back and they slowed Shaq down and won this game and had this series 2-1. In Game 4, Shaq had 25-16 as Kobe again had 32, but it wasn't enough as the Kings won this game to tie the series up 2-2. In Game 5, Lakers dominated the Kings and they showed the skill gap. Shaq dropped 32-18 and Kobe only dropped 17, but it didn't matter as they won this series and move on to the next round. In the second round, they played the Phoenix Suns as he went against his former partner, Penny Hardaway. Shaq dominated his team as they won 4-1 and it wasn't even close. Shaq again made it to the Western Conference Finals, but now he wants to finally pass this obstacle. In the Western Conference Finals, they played an underrated Trailblazers team, who will be led by Scottie Pippen, Steve Smith, Rasheed Wallace, and Sabonis and Damian Stoudemire. In Game 1, Shaq dropped 41 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists, and led this team over the Blazers as they underperformed this game. In Game 2, Kobe and Shaq both underperformed in this game as the Blazers were firing on all cylinders and slowed Shaq down as well and wanted this game to be up, tie the series up 1-1. In Game 3 in a close game, Shaq and Kobe both dropped 25 plus points as the Blazers starting players all played good and were playing good defensively as well. Kobe's good defense down the stretch clinched this game for them. In Game 4, Shaq dropped 25-11, and even with Rasheed's 34, it wasn't enough as they lost and Lakers are now up 3-1. In Game 5, Shaq dropped 31 and 21, but Kobe underperformed, and with the Blazers playing up to par, it caused them to win this game and have this series 3-2. In Game 6, Shaq underperformed as he only had 17 points, 11 rebounds, but Kobe stepped up and dropped 33. But Shaq's underperformance caused his team to lose as the Blazers tied this series up 3-3. Now, going to Game 7, Shaq had a ton of pressure on him, as he still hasn't even made it to the NBA Finals up to this point in his Lakers career, and he wanted to win this game to go to the promised land. And in Game 7, it was a close game, as Kobe led the way with 25 points as Shaq underperformed, but the Lakers were keeping it close. And in a close game, it was 79-83, as the Blazers was trying to cut back, and the Lakers needed to score to win this game. And with 41 seconds left, Kobe did this.
Portland has 3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to Shaq! Back from the brink of elimination to the brink of the NBA Finals.
He threw a lob to Shaq, and in a hype moment, it gave momentum, and they'll win this series and move on for the NBA Finals for the second time in Shaq's career and his first time as a Los Angeles Laker. In the finals, they played a familiar opponent as they played the Reggie Miller-led Indiana Pacers. In Game 1, Shaq dominated Rick Smith, and he made that nigga call him daddy. Shaq in this game had 43 and 19 as the Lakers destroyed the Pacers in Game 1. In Game 2, Shaq dropped 40 and 24 rebounds as Smith couldn't do anything against him. The Diesel was going to this game smacking his lips every night at this matchup as the Lakers again want this game to be up 2 in this series. In Game 3, Shaq had 33 and 13, but it wasn't enough as Reggie dropped 33 as Shaq was without his duo partner as he got injured in Game 3, and that caused the Pacers to win this game and have this series 2-1. In Game 4, Shaq dropped 38, and Kobe was back as he dropped 20 in his comeback game. In the close game they won and had this series 3-1. In Game 5, Shaq dropped 35 and 11 rebounds, but Kobe severely underperformed, and that in turn caused the Pacers to dominate this team and have this series 3-2. In Game 6, Shaq dropped 41 and 12, and Kobe 26. Even with Reggie, Mark, and Jalen playing good this game, it wasn't enough, as the Los Angeles Lakers were the 2000 NBA champions. Shaq was named Finals MVP, and it was obvious, as he completely dominated the Pacers and made Rick Smith his son. Listen to these averages: 38 points, 16.7 rebounds, 2.7 blocks, and 61% from the field. He made the Pacers his children. In the 2001 season, Kobe began to really improve and really assert himself as the second option and was starting to question Shaq's way of playing basketball, but we'll get to that later. Anyways, Superman was still dominating and the Lakers were in the prime of their basketball. As I'm not going to go player by player as that's for a different video, for a different day, but I'm going to name key players as they come up. Shaq, within his third in MVP voting, was an All-Star again, was on the All-NBA first team again, and All-Defensive second team with his teammate Kobe. Shaq this season averaged 28.7 points, 12.7 rebounds, 2.8 blocks on 57% from the field. Now, before I get to the playoffs, watching this season, this team had one of the most dominant runs of all time. So let's get into it. In the first round, they played the Portland Trail Blazers again. In Game 1, Shaq had 24 and 20 and Kobe had 28 as they beat the Blazers to be up 1-0. In Game 2, Shaq had 32 and 12 and Kobe 25 as they beat the Blazers again to be up 2-0. In Game 3, Shaq dropped 25 and 15 and Kobe dropped 22 as the Lakers swept the Blazers to move on to the second round. In the second round, they played the Sacramento Kings. In Game 1, Shaq dropped 44 and 21 as he again dominated his team to win this game 1-0. In Game 2, Shaq dominated again as he dropped 43 and 20 and won this game to be up 2-0. In Game 3, Shaq underperformed as he only dropped 21 points, but Kobe dropped 36 and led his team to be up 3-0. In Game 4, Shaq dropped 25 and 10, but Kobe had a masterclass of a game and dropped 48 points and torched his team and also had 16 rebounds. They swept this series and move on to the Western Conference Finals for the second year in a row. In the third round, they played the San Antonio Spurs. Now, this series showed a little bit of foreshadowing into the duel of Kobe and Shaq's future, as Shaq was a definite number one option on his team, but it was a lingering question of what if it's Kobe? And he played excellent this series. In Game 1, Kobe dropped 41 points in a masterclass performance. Shaq dropped 28 and 11 as Timmy D was giving him problems. In Game 2, Kobe only dropped 28, and Shaq underperformed and dropped 19. But with the help of Fisher and Fox, it caused him to win this game and be up 2 in this series. In Game 3, Kobe and Shaq completely dominated. Shaq dropped 35 and 17 and Kobe 36 as they destroyed the Spurs in this game to be up 3-0. In Game 4, Kobe and Shaq dropped 26 and 24 respectively as they closed out this series and were undefeated in the playoffs so far as they were dominating the West and went to the finals looking to dominate the team in front of them. In the NBA Finals, they played the 76ers, who were being led by Allen Iverson. Iverson was having a historic season as he won MVP that year. And fun fact, Shaq was supposed to be the first unanimous MVP, but one vote went to Iverson that last year. In Game 1, the Lakers underestimated the Sixers as Iverson had a historic performance. Iverson even had an iconic shot and step over Ty Lue. Iverson dropped 48 and Shaq dropped 44, but even he said he was being lazy and not playing until he saw them actually beating them, and that in turn lost in their perfect playoff run was gone. In Game 2, Kobe dropped 31 and Shaq dropped 20 and 10. Shaq dropped 20 and 10 as the Lakers won this game to tie this series up 1-1. After this, the Kobe and Shaq Lakers dominated the Sixers and they won the next 3 games and they have won back-to-back NBA championships. Kobe and Shaq established themselves as the best duo in the NBA, and this team, as Kobe Bryant, has grown tremendously. And he has shown himself to be the best first option in the league, as he was 1 beat to Shaq's 1A. Shaq was again named Finals MVP as he dominated again and was looking towards next year to go for a 3-peat. In the 01-02 season, Shaq continued to dominate, as also his running mate Kobe was starting to become a franchise type of player level talent, and they began to clash in certain ways, and it started in the 2000 season, and it progressively got worse, but we'll get to that way later. This season was another easy season for the Lakers, as they went 58-24 and was again the favorites to win the NBA championships. The Diesel this season averaged 27.2 points, 10.7 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 57% from the field. The first round they played the Trailblazers, who had a similar team as before, but it wasn't playing the same level as before. In game 1, Kobe led the way with 34 points, but Shaq had 25-9 as they wanted to be up 1-0. In game 2, Kobe struggled as he only had 19, but Shaq had 34-14. Even with Rashid dropping 30 plus and doing all he can, the Lakers still wanted this game to be up 2-0. In game 3, in a close battle, as Kobe and Shaq both struggled, but they were still able to edge this game out and win this series in a sweep and move on to the next round. In the second round, they were playing the San Antonio Spurs, who were being led by Tim Duncan by himself basically, as David Robinson was on his last leg essentially. In game 1, Kobe and Shaq struggled again, as Kobe only had 20 and Shaq had 23 and 17. Tim Duncan dominated as he only had 26, but he had 20 rebounds and played excellent defense on Shaq. The Lakers edged this game out as they won 86-80 and went up 1-0. In game 2, Shaq struggled again as he only had 19.7 rebounds, and due to his underperformance, the Spurs edged this win out to tie the series up. In game 3, Shaq again struggled as he only had 22 points and 50 rebounds, but Kobe picked up the slack and dropped 31, and they won this game to be up 2-1. In game 4, Shaq again was having problems as he only dropped 22 and 11 rebounds, but thanks to Kobe's spectacular fourth quarter, they edged this game out to win by 2 and be up in this series 3-1. In game 5, Tim Duncan was on a mission to win this game as he dropped 35 points, 25 rebounds, and was dominating this game. Again, Shaq struggled as he dropped 21 points and 11 rebounds, but the team picked up the slack, and even with Tim's amazing performance, it wasn't enough as he lost, and the Lakers move on to the Western Conference Finals again. Now it's time for one of the most controversial series of all time. In the Western Conference Finals, it was the Sacramento Kings versus the Los Angeles Lakers. This team was being led by Chris Webber, who ironically was traded for Penny Hardaway. Their point was Mike Bibby, and they had good shooters on their team as well. This team at the time was seen as a contender to beat this Lakers team, and this series was a dogfight. In game 1, Kobe and Shaq was in full effect, as Kobe dropped 30 and Shaq 26. Chris Webber and Bobby Jackson performed, but the rest of the team didn't, as the Lakers won is going to easily be up 1-0. In game 2, Shaq finally came to play as he dropped 35 and 12. And also, Robert Horry had 20 rebounds this game. It's like he was a rebound magnet. Anyways, the Kings ended up winning this game and tying this series up as Kobe semi-struggled and the Kings played their game. In game 3, the Lakers struggled and the Kings played excellent. Shaq only had 20 and 19 and Kobe struggled as well, and they lost this game to be down 2-1. In game 4, Kobe and Shaq was in full effect again as they dropped 27-18 and 25 points respectively, but it's still a close game. But thanks to a game winner by Robert Horry, they won this game and tied this series 2-2. In game 5, Kobe dropped 30 and Shaq 28, but it wasn't enough as Webber dropped 29 and his team was playing their game effectively. In another close game, they edged this out to be up in the series 3-2. Now, this is where the controversy starts. Now, I'm not going to pick a side and say whether if it was right or not. I'm just going to state the facts and move to the next series. In game 6, Shaq was going dummy as he dropped 41 points and 70 rebounds, and his running mate Kobe dropped 31. Now, why this game is controversial is because of the amount of free throws that was shot by the Lakers. Shaq in particular had 17 free throw attempts, and the Lakers had 40 in total, while the Kings only had 25. Now, many people feel like Shaq was playing really aggressive this game and was actively fouling offensively, but it wasn't getting called. No matter how many people felt the outcome was, the Lakers won this game and was tying this series up 3-3. In game 7, Shaq and Kobe again dominated. Shaq had 35 points and 13 rebounds. Kobe had 30 points and 10 rebounds. An interesting fact this game is that all the starters besides Derek Fisher had 10 plus rebounds this game. The Lakers again won to move on to the NBA Finals. In the NBA Finals, they were going against the New Jersey Nets, who were being led by Jason Kidd. Kidd is an underrated player during this time, and even though the East is weak at this time, he's still at this team at the NBA Finals. Now, how can I forget about him? The GOAT, Brian Scalabrine, makes another appearance in the Golden State video, and he is on the Nets team. Now let's see who Shaq has to guard. Todd McWho? Wait, let me look him up. His nickname is Big Mac, and he only played 4 seasons? Yeah, he is definitely
barbecue chicken alert, barbecue chicken alert.
In game 1, Shaq dominated and had 36 points and 16 rebounds as they won game 1. In game 2, Shaq dominated and had 40 points and 12 rebounds as they won game 2. In game 3, Shaq and Kobe both dominated as Shaq had 35 and 11 and Kobe had 36 as they won this game to be up 3-0. In game 4, Shaq dominated again as he had 34 and 10, and they closed this series out to be part of a special club that have now three-peated. Now, even though Shaq completely dominated, it felt like the Lakers would regress in these games as the games with Nets were still close. And on top of that, Kobe felt like he wasn't getting the touches he felt like he could get. But for now, they were celebrating a three-peat and were looking to go for 4 in a row the next year. Now, the 0-2-0-3 Lakers start of the season was horrible. First, it starts in the offseason, where Shaq had a toe injury but refused to get surgery until the start of the training camp. As he felt like he got injured if he got injured on company time, he doesn't want to spend the rest of his summer rehab while he was out, which in turn he only played 6-7 games that season. Phil ordered Kobe to be more aggressive, which in turn caused Kobe to go on an insane run of 40-plus point games. Kobe played spectacular this season as he finished 3rd in MVP voting that year and was sending up messages as well. When Shaq came back, he still maintained the first option role and still had a great season. Superman this year averaged 27.5 points, 11.1 rebounds, 2.4 blocks on 57% from the field. They went to the playoffs with a record of 52-32. In the first round, they played the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were being led by Kevin Garnett. In game 1, Shaq had 32 and 10, and Kobe had 39 as they won game 1. In game 2, KG went off as he had 35 points and 10 rebounds and caused Shaq to struggle as he only had 27 points, and Kobe also struggled as well, and they lost this game to have this series 1-1. In game 3, KG again went off as he had 33 and 14 points. Kobe didn't struggle as he had 30 points and almost had a triple-double as well. Shaq didn't struggle, but didn't play amazing either as he had 28 points and 7 rebounds, but you can tell he was off. The Timberwolves won this game and had this series 2-1. In game 4, Shaq dominated and Kobe dominated as they had 34 and 32 respectively. And Shaq also had 23 rebounds, and he was back and not getting slowed down as they won this game to tie the series up. In game 5, Kobe had another 30-plus point game, and Shaq had 27 and 11. And also with the help of Derek Fisher, they won this game and were up 3-2. In game 5, Kevin underperformed, and that in turn caused Kobe and Shaq to dominate once again. Kobe had 31, and Shaq had 24, 17 rebounds, and 9 assists. They won this series as a young Kevin Garnett gave him trouble, but they wanted to move on to the second round. In the second round, they went against the San Antonio Spurs, who were being led by Tim Duncan, of course. In game 1, Kobe went off as he dropped 37 points, and Shaq had 24 and 20 rebounds. And thanks to Steve Kerr's bad coaching, that caused the Spurs to lose this game.
Wait. Steve Kerr was not the coach of the Spurs. Now give me that script. Yeah, you gotta redo. Why do you have this on here?
Wait, what? Oh, this is the right script. Even with Shaq and Kobe's performance, it wasn't enough as they lost this game to be down 1-0. In game 2, Tim only had 12 points as he contributed in other ways as he slowed Shaq down and they dominated Lakers team. Kobe and Shaq both had 27 points, and in game 3, Kobe dropped 39 points as he was again short of his abilities. Shaq dropped 21 and 16 as Tim was slowing him down, but it didn't matter as the Lakers won this game and had this series 2-1. In game 5, Kobe dropped 35 points and he was torching the Spurs, and Shaq was still being slowed down, but he had 29 and 17 and they won this close game to tie this series up. In game 5, Kobe dropped 36 and again Shaq was being slowed up by Tim as he only had 20 and 12. Tim played amazing this game, and that in turn caused him to lose this game and be down 3-2. In game 6, Tim played exceptional and had 37 points and 16 rebounds, and again played good defense on Shaq. Shaq did have 31 and 10, and ironically Kobe struggled as he had 20 points. And the San Antonio Spurs won the series and eventually won the NBA championship. The Lakers' hopes of going for 3 in a row didn't happen. Now, this season is the season of the peak of the Shaq and Kobe feud. In the 03-04 season, Kobe has some strong allegations on him. If you know, you know. I can't say those words on YouTube. Anyways, that in turn caused words to go back and forth between Kobe and Shaq. The Lakers got Carmelo and Gary Payton this season to form what people think is a super team. Anyways, these allegations caused Kobe to miss some games, and he also had an injury. Shaq began to not mention Kobe's in meetings or speeches he gave to the team and to inspire the team. He told Kobe to be passive as he was coming off an injury, which caused Kobe to fire back and tell him you can't tell him how to run guard. Kobe criticized his play in the low post, which caused animosity, but Shaq eventually agreed to let Kobe run guard, but he let him know that that's his team, he isn't going anywhere, which is funny considering what happens. Anyways, the Lakers were seen as the favorites as they finished the second seed thanks to 2 buzzer beaters from Kobe to win the division. In the first round, they played the Rockets, who was being led by a young Yao Ming. In game 1, it was a bad game for both teams, which caused a 1-point win for the Lakers to be up 1-0. In game 2, Kobe went off as he dropped 36, as Shaq played horrible and only had 7 points. But even with that bad play, they still won this game to be up 2-0. In game 3, Shaq had 25 and 11, and Kobe had 21 points. And with the Rockets playing good, that caused them to lose and have this series 2-1. In game 4, Carmelo showed why he carried John Stockton as he dropped 30 points as Kobe and Shaq underperformed, but didn't matter to the outcome of the game as the Lakers won and they were up 3-1. In game 5, the closeout game, Shaq underperformed again as he only had 12 points, but Kobe had 31 and 10 assists as the team stepped up and they closed out the series, moving on to the next round. In the second round, they played the San Antonio Spurs, who had a Robert Horry and were being led by Tim Duncan. In game 1, Shaq again underperformed as he only had 19 points, but Kobe had 31. It wasn't enough as Tim Duncan and his new point guard, who was starting to come into the zone, I think his name is Tony Parker. You might know him. He played good this game and the Spurs opened the series 1-0. In game 2, ironically, Kobe underperformed and Shaq played good this game. And Shaq had 32 and 50 rebounds, but it wasn't enough as Tim Duncan woke up on the wrong side of bed today and decided to be aggressive and dropped 30 points. Tony played good, and some guy named Manu Ginobili came off the bench and dropped 15. I don't know who that guy is, but anyway, that caused the Spurs to be up 2 in this series. In game 3, the Lakers fired back as Shaq dropped 20 and 12, and the Lakers all around played good as the Spurs severely underperformed, and the Lakers was back in this series and had it 2-1. In game 4, Kobe put on the show as he dropped 42 points and led this team to tie this series up 2-2. In game 5, in a very close battle where Shaq was essentially shut down as he only had 11 points, but Kobe picked the slack with 22. It was a great defensive battle as the score was only in the 70s, but the Lakers edged this one out as Derek Fisher made the game winner for now them to be up 3-2. In game 6, Shaq underperformed again, but the Spurs in general underperformed, and it caused the Lakers to win this game, and they moved on to the Western Conference Finals. They played Kevin Garnett and the Timberwolves again. Now this year, KG won the MVP award and had new players with them, like the choke artist Latrell Sprewell. I don't mean choking in terms of playing good. Anyways, they had a very underrated player in my opinion, which is Sam Cassell. So these two pieces along with others helped them make it this far. In game 1, Shaq had 28 and 7, and Kobe had 23, as this Lakers team played a well-rounded game and want this game to be up 1-0 in this series. In game 2, Shaq underperformed as he had 14.6 rebounds. Kobe picked the slack as he chucked 27, but it wasn't enough as KG played great as well, and the team played good, so they wanted to get him for the tie up 1-1. In game 3, Shaq again underperformed, and Kobe did as well. But thanks to the well-rounded team that they had, they was able to pick up the slack and they want this game to be up 2-1. In game 4, Shaq again underperformed as he only had 19, but Kobe dropped 31. And with Sam Cassell getting injured and being out the rest of the series as well, they want this game to be up 3-1. In game 5, KG and Latrell went off as they both had 38 and 28 respectively, and KG still maintained the amazing defense he had. Shaq underperformed as usual, and Kobe did as well, which in turn caused the Timberwolves to win and have this series 3-2. In game 6, as in the closeout game, with underperformance from Kobe and Shaq again, but the team stepped up and they wanted to move on to the NBA Finals. People to this day still feel like if Sam Cassell was there, the Lakers would have lost, because Kobe and Shaq both didn't play well this series. But hey, the outcome is the outcome, and the Lakers are back in the NBA Finals. In the NBA Finals, they played the Detroit Pistons. Now the Pistons were built on defense and players that no one wanted and were given a chance. They were being led by defensive menace Ben Wallace, which even at a small height for a center didn't matter. Their leading guard was Mr. Big Shot himself, Chauncey Billups. I would say more about this team, but that's the video for another time. Anyways, the Lakers went into the series as the favorites. In Game 1, Shaq went off as he had 34 points and 11 rebounds, and Kobe had 25 points. But even with that, they lost this game, as the rest of their help just didn't help, and the Pistons won this game to be up 1-0. In Game 2, Shaq played well as he had 29 and 7, and Kobe had 33. And even with their supporting cast playing bad again, it was still enough for them to win this game and have this series 1-1. In Game 3, Kobe and Shaq both played horrible as the Pistons' defense was too much for them to handle, as Rip Hamilton went off and dropped 31 points, and the Pistons blew out the Lakers and won easily to be up 2-1 this series. In Game 4, Kobe and Shaq both played good, as Kobe did have 20, but on horrific efficiency. Shaq played well though, as he had 36 points and 2 rebounds. But again, their defense just kept stopping the offensive overpowered team. And with Kobe playing bad as well, it caused them to lose again and be down 3-1. In Game 5, Shaq and Kobe played badly again. And with that, it caused the Pistons to win the 2004 NBA Championship. This team was built off of pieces that no one wanted, and they worked together, played a system, and it proved to work. The Lakers lost because of the play of Kobe. Kobe felt like he deserved Finals MVP if they win because he felt like he deserved it the past couple of years. So that selfishness caused him to overshoot and have horrible efficiency. This Kobe and Shaq feud was actively making them lose, and it was hitting a breaking point in the offseason. The Lakers coaching staff was at a crossroads. What I failed to mention was that Phil Jackson announced he wasn't coming back, as Kobe didn't like the offensive scheme around the team that prioritized Shaq. Ironically, Jackson felt the same way, as he didn't want to coach if Kobe resigned because of the way he played and acted last season. The front office sided with Kobe, as Jeanie Buss wanted to go back to the fast-paced style offense and wanted Kobe at the head of it. Shaq saw this direction and wanted out, and got his request as he was traded to the Miami Heat. Many people consider this a what if, as they felt like they would kept their emotion in check, they would have won many more NBA championships. Shaq was traded to the Heat, and he promised the Heat he would bring a championship home, as he wanted to go to Miami because he wanted to play with their young guard, Dwayne Wade, who was nicknamed Flash. Shaq this season played excellent, as he played 72 games. He was second in MVP voting, as he lost to Steve Nash, the iconic MVP robber. He was also at the age of 32 and was still able to make the All-Star and All-NBA teams. The Diesel this year averaged 22.9 points, 10.4 rebounds on 60% from the field. They were the first in the Eastern Conference and went to the playoffs expecting to go all the way. In the first round, they played the New Jersey Nets, who was still being led by Jason Kidd, but he had Vince Carter now and the GOAT, Brian Scalabrine. In Game 1, Dwayne Wade dropped 32 and Shaq dropped 17-11 as they won this game to be up 1-0. In Game 2, Alonzo Mourning dropped 20 off the bench, and in a well-rounded game from this team, they won. It was up 2-0. In Game 3, Shaq dropped 25 and 6 as him and Udonis Haslem was all over the glass, and they won this game to be up 3-0 in the series. In Game 4, they complete the sweep as D-Wade again went off and dropped 34 points, and they move on to the next round. In Game 2, they played the Washington Wizards, who have been led by sharpshooter himself, Gilbert Arenas. Not that type of shooter. Anyways, and also Antoine Jameson. In Game 1, in a well-rounded game from the Heat, they won this game to be up 1-0. In Game 2, Dwayne Wade dropped 31 and Shaq dropped 16 as they won this game to be up 2-0. In Game 3, Shaq didn't play, but D-Wade dropped 31 again and they won to be up 3-0. In Game 4, they completed the sweep as D-Wade dropped 42, and without Shaq again as a thigh injury had him out this game and the game before, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. In the Eastern Conference Finals, it was the defending champions, Detroit Pistons, who were looking to go back-to-back. In Game 1, Shaq returned, but the Pistons were able to slow him and D-Wade down as they won this game to be out 1 in this series. In Game 2, D-Wade went off as they dropped 42 against one of the best defenses and they won to tie it up 1-1. In Game 3, D-Wade played well again. He played excellent actually. And also with Shaq dropped 24, they won this game and were up 2-1. In Game 4, the Pistons fight back. They was able to slow Flash down and Rasheed played an excellent game as they won this game to tie it up 2-2. In Game 5, in the defensive game, the Heat was able to edge it out and be up 3-2 in this series. In Game 6, D-Wade didn't play because of an injury, and that in turn caused a blowout win for the Pistons, and it's tied this series up 3-3. In Game 7, in a closeout game, the Pistons was able to edge it out and win this series and move on to the NBA Finals once again. Shaq was still being hammered by the thigh injury and also didn't like Stan Van Gundy's style of coaching and said that was the reason for the loss. In the 05-06 season, Shaq again got an injury in the first 11 games, which in turn caused him to miss 18 games. Also during that span, Stan Van Gundy resigned from the head coach position because of family issues, which caused Pat Riley to take over. Shaq took a pick up this season and was really digging the second option role, as he knew that this was D-Wade's team and no longer wanted the best player, and accepted his role as a second option or sometimes just sit on the team. They finished a record of 52-30. In the first round, they played the Chicago Bulls, who were led by Ben Gordon. In Game 1, D-Wade dropped 31, and Shaq 27-16, as they wanted this game to be up 1-0 in this series. In Game 2, 3 Heat players dropped 20-plus points, as in the real run of the game, they wanted this game to be up 2-0. In Game 3, the Bulls was able to pull this game off as Ben Gordon played well and the Heat underperformed. In Game 4, the Bulls were able to tie this series up as Ben Gordon, Nocioni, and Kirk Hinrich played well. But after these losses, D-Wade and Shaq played excellent in the next 2 games to win this series in 6 games. Shaq closed out this series with a 30-point, 20-rebound game as they move on to the next round. In the next round, they played New Jersey Nets again. Now, usually I will game by game, but D-Wade completely dominated this series. They lost Game 1 as he underperformed, but after that he proceeded to play excellent and blew this next team away as he was hunting for the trophy and then moved on to the Eastern Conference Finals once again. In the Eastern Conference Finals, it was a rematch between the Pistons and the Miami Heat. In Game 1, it was a close game like it always is, as D-Wade played well, and with that, they won this game to be up 1-0 in this series. In Game 2, D-Wade dropped 32, but it wasn't enough, as the Pistons played another good defensive game and won this series down the stretch to tie this series up 1-1. In Game 3, Billups and Wade had a battle, as they both dropped 30-plus points, but with Shaq also contributing and dropping 27-12, they won this game to be up 2-1. In Game 4, Shaq dropped 31 as the Pistons severely underperformed and the Heat capitalized on it and were up 3-1 in this series. In Game 5, the Pistons fought back as they blew out the Heat team that had this series 3-2. In Game 6, the Heat was able to close it out as even though Wade underperformed, Shaq picked up the slack as he dropped 20-16 and he was back in the NBA Finals. In the NBA Finals, it was the Dallas Mavericks versus Miami Heat. The Mavericks had an offensive, overpowered team, as they were being led by Dirk Nowitzki, and he also had Jason Terry, Jerry Stackhouse, Adrian Griffin, and more. The Mavs were the favorites going to this series, and it proved to be right, as in the first 2 games, the Mavs dominated, as the scores was close, but you can obviously tell who the better team was until Game 3. In Game 3, D-Wade dropped 42 points, and he was unstoppable during this game. Shaq also contributed by dropping 16 points and 11 rebounds, as even with that performance, he only about 1 point. But this game turned this series around. In Game 4, D-Wade dropped 36, and Shaq 17 points and 13 rebounds, as the Heat dominated this game to tie the series up 2-2. In Game 5, Jason Terry dropped 35, as he was keeping his Mavs team in this game, but D-Wade dropped 43, and he was again unstoppable in this game, as they won this game to be up 3-2. In Game 6, D-Wade closed this series out as he had 36 and 10 rebounds, as Shaq only had 9 points and 12 rebounds, but he was letting Flash cook, as they won the 2006 NBA Championship. Dwayne Wade came out and showed out, and Shaq knew the potential was there for him, and he was glad he was able to lead this team to the NBA Championship. The Diesel was getting older, and the injuries was getting to him as he began to slow down, and he also began to feel it, and it's starting to happen as well, but we'll get to that later. In the next season, it wasn't looking good for the defending champions, as Shaq missed 35 games and D-Wade dislocated his shoulder, which required Shaq to handle the first option role, which didn't work out as well, as he was still an all-star that season, but he couldn't carry the load, as they ended up losing the first round to the Chicago Bulls. As you can clearly tell, that Shaq was indeed getting older, and he played it well, but he couldn't dominate like we all know he could. In the next season wasn't bad overall for Shaq, as he dealt with injuries, and he didn't play well as well. He had a career low in every major statistical category, and he didn't make the All-Star team that year as well. Shaq had disagreements with Pat as he was injured, but Pat felt like he was faking the injury, which boiled up to a big argument as he was traded after 33 games to the Phoenix Suns. Shaq was acquired by the Suns to help out Steve and stop Tim and some of the big men in the West, but it didn't work out as Shaq was still an all-star next season and he played well. When it came down to guarding these new centers, he was just too old and it wasn't gonna work out. He made the playoffs with the Suns, but they lost to the Spurs in 5 games. He did make the playoffs in 2009 and was again traded to the Cavs. On the Cavs, he had a goal which was to win a ring for LeBron, but he ended up getting injured. But when he returned for the first round of the playoffs, he returned first round of the playoffs and they moved on to the second round. But they got eliminated by the Boston Celtics. As Shaq felt like if he didn't get injured, they would have won that series. Shaq took a major decrease in every category and then was a free agent. Shaq didn't like the fact that Kobe had more rings than him and was seeking to be on a title contender as he signed with the Celtics to try and win a ring, but it didn't work out as he suffered injuries again and the Celtics got eliminated by the Miami Heat in 2011. Shaq announced his retirement from the NBA in 2011 and was inducted to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in 2016, where his legacy now sits with the greats. Now, Shaq, in my opinion, had many issues which affected his rating. First, Shaq wasn't careful about his weight or his diet. He didn't take care of his body, which he even regrets. In his Orlando days, he was dominant, but also semi-fast and played defense at a semi-elite level. But when he got older, he relied on his dominance too much, which in turn caused a lot of injuries to happen to him as well. Now, also, Shaq underperformed when it came to the top tier players in his conference, like the Spurs, Pistons, Rockets, and any other team that had a great defense. He was dominant against mid-bad centers, as when he was against top 2 ones, he would underperform. Shaq finished his career as a 4-time NBA champion, 3-time Finals MVP, 1-time MVP, 15-time All-Star, 8-time All-NBA First Team, 3-time All-Defensive Second Team, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame. In my top 10 list, based on all things I've said, I rank Shaquille O'Neal at the 8th spot on my top 10 list.